All right, so we are going to be focusing on strengthening and stretching today. Most of what we do in life requires both. It requires that we have strength, but also flexibility, especially when we're talking about moving around throughout our day, walking, stair climbing. Of course, you need strength, but being flexible enough to use that strength is also important. So we're going to do at least 2 rounds of these exercises, maybe 3 if there's time. The first round is going to be fully seated, and it's going to be strengthening our legs and our core. And then the second round, I'm going to show you how to do them standing. If you feel up for it and you can do it safely, stay with the standing. If not, it's going to be the same exercises as the seated, just in a different position. So you can always go back to that other position in the seated position. So I'm going to get back here and we'll get started. I like to start all of our classes with cardio because doing cardio first primes our brain for neuroplasticity. So you're even more likely to find and strengthen those neural pathways. So before we get started, just shake everything out. And when you're ready, go ahead and sit up nice and tall in the middle of your chair, hands in very light fists, and then go ahead and swing those arms. I just call these arm swings, nothing fancy. But again, the goal is cardio. So go a little bit faster than what you normally would go, or bigger motion, or both, faster and bigger motion, or power, really punch up towards the ceiling with each one. So whatever you want to do, something that increases your heart rate, keep going. Making sure you're keeping good posture the whole time. We're going to go faster for the final 5 seconds. I'll count you down in 3, 2, 1, and go as fast as you can for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slow it down, then stop and shake everything out. Shake your hands out, your arms, your elbows. Next one, again, hands are in light fists and just punch forward. So you're staying about shoulder height here. If this ever bothers you for any reason, it's also acceptable to punch down towards your knees. The goal here is cardio, not necessarily arm strengthening. So these are equivalent. One is not better than the other. Keep up the speed or power. Really add some oomph behind each punch, like there's a boxing bag in front of you, and punch, punch, punch. Keep going. We're going to end again with our 5 faster seconds, but not just yet. I'll count you down. Keep going. In 3, 2, 1, and go fast. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then stop and shake everything out. Relax your arms, relax your hands and fingers. Our final one is going to be very similar. It's still punching, but we're adding a twist. So ideally you're staying at this shoulder height, but again, you can just punch down if that height bothers you. But we're just turning punches. Again, the goal is still cardio here. So maybe you go a little bit faster than what you would normally go, or add that power, really punch behind each movement. Whatever feels good for you. If for some reason your heart rate has not started to increase yet, you're on mute right now. I want you to start talking out loud. Maybe it's your numbers. You could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or you can talk about your day. If you got dressed today, if you showered, what time you woke up, did you set an alarm? When you talk, it makes the exercise harder for cardio. So if it's not challenging enough, talking will for sure increase that. All right, we're going to end with 5 faster seconds in 3, 2, 1, and go faster. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slow it down and stop and shake everything out. Nice job. All right, so We're going to start with our core. Our core is the center of everything. So movement is easier when you have a stronger core. We're going to do 2 core exercises today, seated for both rounds. I'm going to face the side for this first one. Okay, so go ahead and sit towards the edge of your chair and sit up nice and tall with a flat back. Your hands are either going to go on your lap or across your chest. This is going to be the harder version. This is easier. And you're just going to lean backwards with a flat back and then pull yourself up. If you did that, that was a practice round. We're going to do 10. Go ahead and lean and up. And you just want to go back as far as you can without losing the muscle tone. You don't want to collapse backwards into the chair. And back, up, back, up. So you can go at a different pace than me if you'd like, but you need to be going slow and steady. We're halfway, 5 more, back, up, back, up, back. I want you to be focusing your mindset on your core muscles. You will feel this a little bit in your hip flexors, but you should mostly feel it in your abdominals. 1 more, back, and hold a little bit longer. Hold, hold, hold. 3, 2, 1, and pull up. And then relax. You can let yourself slouch, shake everything out. Our second core exercise is very similar. This time, all of our arms are going to be crossed like this across our chest. You're still at the edge of your chair. You're still hinging back, but you're turning at the same time. And then pull yourself up. And then you're going to go the other way. So we're alternating ways. And up. So if you did that, that was a practice round. We're going to do 6 each side. So sit up tall, best posture, and go ahead and go back and turn and up. Back and turn, up. So there is a little bit of a pause, back and turn, pause, and pull up. Back and turn, up. So this works our abdominals, specifically our obliques. That's why we like to add the turn. Back and turn, up. You're halfway, 3 more each side. Back and turn, hold, and up. Back and turn, up. Back and turn, up. Back and turn, up. Hopefully you're starting to quiver. 1 more each side. Hold here and up. Last one, back and turn and up. And then relax. After each exercise, I want you to just relax, let your belly hang out, relax all your muscles, shake it out. Okay, now we're going to stay at the edge of our chair, but recline backwards. So you might have to shimmy a little bit so that you feel sturdy on your chair. But you're going to be reclined. You can hold on to your chair in whatever way feels comfortable to you. And we're going to do seated marching. So you're going to lift one leg as high as you can. I want you to exaggerate as much as possible. So lift as high as you can, and then down, and then the other side. Now, you might have one side that doesn't lift as high as the other. That's totally fine. Even if one side barely lifts, if this is all it does, that's still great. I just want you to attempt to move it with success, meaning your attempt, your effort, not necessarily how high it goes. So we're going to do 10 each side. Recline backwards. Make sure you feel steady on your chair and go ahead and lift one leg, doesn't matter which one, and down. Then the other side, lift and down. Slow and steady, lift, down, lift, down. So there's not too much of a pause, maybe half a second at the top. Lift, keep your abdominal muscles tight. Tightening your core can help with this muscle action. And down, up, down, up, down. We're halfway, 5 more each side. Lift, lift, slow and controlled. Lift, lift. Keep going. Tighten the belly muscles. Lift as high as you can. Even if one leg isn't lifting at all, I still want you attempting to lift. Again, the effort is what counts. 1 more each side. Lift and lift and relax. That should have felt pretty challenging for you. Now we're going to scoot back all the way to the back of our chair. And this is 2 exercises in one. We're straightening and then bending. So you can't really see a whole lot when I'm bending because of the chair, but I am pushing into the chair so that my heel can go back as far as it can, and then I relax. So this is what the exercise looks like. Straighten as straight as you can. That's going to work your quad muscles, which is really important if you have knee buckling or locking or hyperextending. And then bend and pull, 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 push backwards, and then relax. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Straighten, a little bit of a pause, bend and pull back, 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 and relax. These muscles do have a tendency to cramp, so we're only going to do 6 each side. Okay, so you're all the way back in your chair, sit nice and tall, your best posture. Tighten your belly muscles. And when you're ready, go ahead and slowly straighten one leg as straight as you can. And then bend all the way down, push into the chair, and relax. Nice. Other side, slowly straighten as much as you can, hold, slowly bend, push back into the chair, push, 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 and relax. Back to the other side. This is a very slow and boring exercise, but again, it's so important. We need to be able to bend and straighten our knee for almost every action in our day-to-day mobility. If we're walking, climbing stairs, getting out of bed, getting into the shower, we need to be able to bend and straighten our knee. Straighten, hold, 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 bend, pull, and relax. Straighten, then bend, and pull. When you're pulling back, you're strengthening your hamstring muscles on the back of your thigh. So again, when you straighten, we're strengthening our quads. And when you bend, you're strengthening the hamstrings on the back of the knee and the back of the thigh. Relax. Straighten, hold, and down, pull back, pull, pull, pull. Relax. 2 more each side. Straighten, hold, bend, pull back, relax, straighten. Should really feel these quad muscles working. Bend, pull back, relax. Let's do 1 more each side. Straighten and really hold here. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly bend and pull back. Once your knee is fully bent, push, push, push into the chair and relax. 1 more time, 1 final one. Straighten. Once it's fully straight, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly bend and pull back. Hold, hold, hold. And relax. Nice job. Okay, so we've got our core, we've got our hip, we've got our knees. The last thing is our ankles. So we're going to do, again, 2 exercises in one. I'm just going to back up a little bit more. So for this exercise, you're going to scoot forward towards the edge of your chair. And your feet are going to be at about a your knees are going to be at a 90-degree angle. And this is 2 exercises in one. So first, you're going to lift your heels up and then down, and then your toes up and down. Lifting the toes up, I will be honest, will probably be challenging, specifically in this position. It usually is easier if your knees are further extended. But for today, we're going to keep the 90-degree. So just do the best that you can. Again, even if you have one side or the other that's not lifting at all or much, just do the best you can. Okay, we're going to do 10 of these. So sit up nice and tall, tighten your belly muscles, always tighten those first, and go ahead and lift the heels and down, then lift the toes and down, heels, down, toes, down, heels, keep going, down, toes, down. Another thing that I want you to think about, if possible, is to not let your knees collapse inward. I want your knees staying straight forward. Down, up, down, heels up, down, toes up, down. Nice job. We're halfway. 5 more. Heels, down, toes, down, heels, down, toes, down, heels, down, toes, down. 2 more. Heels, down, toes, down. 1 more. Heels up, down, toes up, down. And relax everything. That was also a posture exercise because we were keeping good posture the whole time. So if you want to round out, stretch, do what you got to do. So we did 2 core, a hip, a knee, an ankle. So we just did 5 exercises, but really it was more like 7 because 2 of them were 2-in-1s. We're going to do a quick stretch and then move right into round number 2. You can either stay seated or join me in the standing option. Before we do our round 2, I want to do our figure 4 stretch. So go ahead and grab one leg, place on the opposite lower thigh. And once you're here, sit up tall as you can. And then if you need more of a stretch, you can hinge forward. You should feel this stretch somewhere in the outside of your hip or your outer leg. This leg should be dead weight. Hold here, keep breathing. When you're ready, sit up tall, so stop hinging forward, and then slouch. That should lessen the stretch, if not fully go away. Then slowly lower your leg. Grab the other side. Once you're in the right position, go ahead and fix your posture, so sit up tall. Whew, I am tight today. If you need more of a stretch, go ahead and hinge forward. And this is just as far as I can hinge. If you're really flexible, you might be able to hinge further than me. The key is to keep a flat back. If I show you from the side, my back is fully flat. If I'm round, I can probably almost touch the floor and feel a stretch, but I'm more likely to injure my back that way. So if I keep my back flat and hinge, this is just as much of a stretch as when I rounded and went all the way down, but I'm much less likely to injure myself here. All right, and sit up tall, slouch to let the stretch go away, and then slowly lower your leg. We'll do some more stretching at the end. For now, let's move into round 2. So the first 2 abdominal ones, we're going to stay seated. The last 3 exercises will be the standing options. So let's move towards the edge of our chair. And just as a reminder, our first one, your hands were either on your lap or across here. This is a harder version. And you just hinge back and then pull yourself up. So if it felt easy last time, do this. If it felt too challenging, do this. Up to you. Whenever you're ready, let's go ahead and hinge back and up. Slow and steady. Hinge, up. Hinge, up. Hinge, keeping a flat back the whole time, and up. Hinge, up. Nice job. We're halfway. 5 more. Hinge, up. hinge, up, hinge, up, 2 more. Hopefully you feel your belly muscles quivering a little bit. This should be challenging. Up, 1 more, hinge back and stay here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pull yourself up. Nice job. Let everything slouch, relax. Our next one is core, so give yourself this second to relax everything in your middle body. All right, and when we're ready, we're going to stay right where we are. We're still at the edge of our chair. We're all going to cross our arms. We're still hinging back, but we're turning at the same time. I want you to think of your shoulders like headlights, and you're trying to get your headlights to turn in one direction and then the other. If you did any so far, that was bonus. Awesome job. Let's go for it. So lean back and turn and up. 6 each side. Back and turn. Up. Back. Up. Back. Up. So you should feel this in your obliques, meaning more this side of your belly versus the front. Back. Up. Back. Up. Back. Up. 2 more each side. If you don't feel it in your obliques, work on twisting even more. Really turn up as much as you can. Back and turn. Up. 1 more each side. Back. Up. Last one. Back. And up. And relax. Shake everything out. Nice job. Moving to our hips. So again, if you want to do the seated option, what we did was we reclined like this, and we did our seated marching. Another seated option is just sit up tall. This one is more challenging. If you're going to follow the standing option with me, it's the same exercise. You're holding on, and we're just marching in a standing position like this. So you can choose what you'd like to do. The only thing I want to make note of is that if you are standing, it's not just lifting one side and the other. We have to shift our weight towards one side so that we can then lift this leg up. And we'll shift our weight this way and lift. So it is going to look more like a side to side weight shift with a march, not just lift and down, lift and down. Okay, so when you're ready, we're going to do 10 each side. Go slow and steady. Go ahead and lift and down. And again, if you're standing, you're shifting your weight and then lift and down. Keep going. Lift, down, lift, down. And you're just putting your best effort in. It really doesn't matter how high your leg is lifting. Just put in as much effort as you can without sacrificing your form. You should still be staying seated or standing up nice and tall. Lift, down, lift, down, lift, down. We're halfway, 5 more. Lift, down. You might notice that the more we do, the more fatigued your hips get and you don't lift as high. That's okay. Lift, down, lift, down, lift, down. It does not matter what your ankles are doing. You can let your ankles stay droopy. You don't have to lift it up. Lift, down, lift, down. We have 1 more each side. Lift, down, lift, down, and relax. I'll demonstrate how to do our next exercise standing. It's the same as seated, but opposite movements. So when you're standing, it looks like this. We still shift our weight, we bend, and then straighten, shift our weight, bend, and then straighten. So it's opposite in that we're bending first and then straightening. If you want to do the seated option, You're sitting all the way back in your chair. It's straighten and then bend. Straighten, then bend. So up to you. Either way, you're working the same muscles. I'm going to say bend first since I'll be standing. So shake everything out. When you're ready, go ahead and hold on to your support. Sit or stand up tall. If you're standing, shift your weight towards one side and then go ahead and bend. Then straighten. Shift sides. Bend. Straighten. We're going to do 6 each side because these muscles do tend to cramp. So bending is strengthening your hamstrings. Straightening is strengthening the quads. Bend. Straighten. Bend. Straighten. Bend. Straighten. We're halfway. Bend. Straighten. Bend. Straighten. 2 more each side. I'm going to face the front just so you can see. I'm shifting my weight, bending, straightening. Other side, bend, straighten. 1 more each side, bend, straighten. Last one, bend and straighten. That's a tough one. My hamstrings are definitely cramping. Shake everything out. This point of shifting our body weight is really important. If you ever are walking and you feel like you just got to place that leg down quickly, it's because you have too much body weight through that leg. So if you shift your weight off of it, you should have more control in placing it down slowly when you're walking forward or backwards. Okay, you're doing awesome. Our final one is our heels and toes. So when you're standing, this is what it looks like. Heels up and down, toes up and down. That's going to be really challenging. Again, it's mostly for effort. You don't have to lift really high. If it's easier for you, you can lift your heels up and down, then just one side, then heels, and then the other side. So up to you. We're going to do 10 times total. Hold on. Make sure your feet are at least shoulder distance apart. I don't want you to be too narrow. That's going to make it harder for balance. So when you're ready, let's go for it. Heels up and down, toes up and down. Heels, toes, heels, toes, heels, toes. And if you're standing, make sure to tighten your belly muscles. Toes. Face the side again. We're halfway. 5 more. Tighten your belly muscles. Heels up, down, toes up, down, heels, down, toes, down, heels, down, toes, down, heels, toes. We've got 1 more. Heels up, down, toes up, down, and relax. Again, that one should have been really challenging. Shake out your legs. When you're ready, go ahead and sit back down. Awesome job. Get a time check here. Oh, perfect. We're doing great with time. Okay, so we're going to end with a few stretches because as I mentioned in the beginning, being flexible, having that flexibility throughout your movement is really important. Let's start with the same stretch we've already done. So grab one leg and go into your figure 4 stretch where your ankle goes on the lower opposite thigh. Hold your leg there so that this leg is completely dead weight. Sit up tall. And if you need more of a stretch, hinge forward. You should feel this anywhere on the outside of your thigh or outside of your hip. And sit up tall, then slouch to get rid of the stretch and then lower your leg. And the same thing on the other side. Grab that leg. Anchor it down so that your leg can be dead weight. Sit up tall. And then if you need more of a stretch, hinge forward. It's very important to come out of the stretch. So lessen the stretch completely before letting the leg go. If you don't do that, you're at a higher risk for pulling a muscle, which we don't want. And when you're ready, this is us lessening the stretch. So sit up tall and then slouch. That stretch should lessen or fully go away, and then let your leg come down. Next is hamstring, so straighten one knee as much as possible. Sit up tall with your hands on the lower opposite thigh and hinge forward. If you're keeping a flat back and you're in the right position, you should feel this stretch anywhere from the back of your hip all the way down to behind your knee. Anywhere in there is fair game. And sit up tall, come back to your normal seated position. Slouch, again, to get rid of the stretch. Try your best not to use your hands as you pull your knee in. And then straighten the other leg out. Again, trying not to use your hands. Once you're there, hands are placed on the opposite lower thigh. Sit up tall. And if you need more of a stretch, hinge forward. Similar to the stretch we just did, you should feel this on the back of your thigh, anywhere from your hip all the way down to behind your knee. And when you're ready, sit up tall, slouch to get the stretch to go away. Try your best not to use your hands as you bend your knee. We're now going to stretch out our torso. You should have been activating your core for a lot of those movements. Scoot back to the middle of your chair. Place one hand on the outside of the opposite thigh. This hand comes to touch somewhere in the back of your chair, and we're just going to twist it out. Your arms should be doing all the work. Allow your torso and your belly muscles to just relax. And when you're ready, slowly unwind. Coming back to the center, and then just slowly keep going all the way over to the other side. Hand goes on the opposite outside part of your thigh. Reach back for your chair and twist. Go ahead and unwind. We have one final stretch today, and that's our hip flexors. We did that marching exercise, which can tighten our hip flexors. We want to loosen those up. I'm going to just change the angle of my chair for you. So you're going to separate your knees as wide as you can. Hold on to the front of your chair and the back of your chair. And then pivot your feet so that this knee falls down to the floor. Once you're in that position, you're going to tuck your butt under. So really round the low part of your back and spine. And you should feel a stretch in your hip flexors and maybe even the front of your quad, depending on which muscles are tightest for you. If your leg is bouncing like this, that's clonus. So just flip your toes down. It can be tricky to get into that position, but that's one way to stop the bouncing. And hold here. And when you're ready, untuck, relax your legs so the stretch essentially goes away. Hold on to the middle of the chair and pivot just all the way over to the other side. Keep going. So now the opposite knee is facing the ground. Once you feel sturdy here, sturdy is important. I don't want anyone feeling off balance. Once you're here, go ahead and tuck your butt under, really round. And you should feel a stretch again, either same spot, front of the thigh or the front of the hip. And hold. And relax. So stop tucking, relax, come back to the center. Move your feet in. And if there's any other stretch your body feels like it needs right now, take this time to do that. One stretch that I always like is a neck stretch. Our necks are almost always tight. So if you want, you can take some time now to stretch out your neck. Or maybe a cat-cow. Whatever you feel like you need.